I'm Dan.
We're in the ocean.
I'm Zoo.
Under the power of wind.
And these are our boys.
Louie and Pepe.
I can't say he got himself out.
In October 2021, we moved out of our van.
And into a sailboat.
But before we can see the world,
We've got to clean her up.
It's looking a lot better.
fix her up,
And learn to sail and navigate.
so we have a big year ahead.
Full of challenges, opportunities, adventures, and surprises.
And that's just the beginning. Well, now we are 2 for 2. Hold on, buddy. You're good. You're good. Oh, bud. Finally happened. One of them either fell or jumped in the water. We're not too sure, but
Yeah, I can say he got himself out without any help, which I would say the top of the dock is probably 2 feet from the water, but it is lined with wood, so he probably was able to get some claws and jump out.
a little in shock. But
We're kind of hoping that this would happen and that it would go okay, and that it would give them pause when we're actually out on the boat and in the open water. So hopefully he's like, whoa, that was intense and I don't want to do that anymore. Both our cats can swim.
oh, bud. You all right? Come here. You good? It's okay. Come on. Let's stay up here. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Come on. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay, buddy. You're okay. You're okay. Did you fall in? Yeah? You fell in the water? Come on. It's okay. It's okay. Let's stay up here. We're gonna wipe you down. Well, come on. I know. It's scary.
We at least know that both of our cats can fall in the water and get themselves back out, and that they're freaked out by it, which sort of is important.
Yeah? That was a new and strange experience. Huh? New and strange and kind of frightening, huh? It's okay, bud. It's okay. Hey, it's alright. So we're not sure where Louie fell in, but he managed to come out here and then just a straight beeline for our boat. Ugh, poor buddy. Now it's time for some major cleanup. Gotta get back to Silky Boy after that saltwater dunk. Can we stay on the boat for at least one day to indicate you've learned your lesson, at least momentarily? Just thought I'd jump in here and say, for anyone concerned about the safety of these guys, we don't actually let them roam around the dock without at least one of us up here with them to supervise. They do like to wander off down the dock and jump onto other boats because apparently this boat is not cool enough to keep their attention for very long. So really both of the times they fell in the water, it was messing around on the dock or on another boat. So just so you know, we do keep a close eye on them, mostly because my anxiety about either of them drowning is actually pretty high. So we're both actually looking forward to the moment we're able to anchor out on the water long term instead of staying at a marina, because then these 2 cat bozos of ours won't have anywhere else to go other than the top deck of this boat, and it'll be a lot easier to keep an eye on them. This is cleaning you up, man. Yeah. Dirty and nasty. That is 2 feet of how many feet of junk?
Oh boy. Well, first off, I've already probably removed like 50 feet of cable and I probably have like 150 to 200 feet more when I'm finally done. Yeah, so we're gearing up for, we've ordered most of what we need to redo all of the electrical. So all new solar, charger, battery, everything. And before that happens, what I'm trying to do is organize the electrical aspect of the engine room, which, keep in mind, I still have to organize and clean up the plumbing, engine system, like systems associated with the motor. Like, there's a lot, starting with the electric. And I guess the easy but tedious part is I'm removing all of the electrical components that don't go to anything anymore. Since we've ripped out all of the original AC and all of the original equipment operating the heads, like all that wiring needs to come out. A lot of it is 110, which is what I'm doing right now, and plenty of it's 12 volt. But yeah, like this squirrel's nest has to go. So none of it's particularly hard, but it's tedious to test and make sure that I'm removing stuff that legitimately doesn't go to anything and that it's not hot, because I'm not really interested right now in operating in this room with all of the power shut down to the boat. So I double check and test each line that I'm cutting and removing as I go. But eventually I then have to start working with hot lines and testing and labeling them. And the original wiring in the boat is color coded in a way that I actually can identify most of it, and that's this kind of stuff here. But then you get to the stuff that's been added on over the years by the previous owners, where you're just like, wild guess. But there's just so much of this that's like, does this go to anything anymore? And do I trust it? Like, I'm gonna reroute all of the 110 wiring to the main cabin, which is sort of dumb because there already is wire, but like, I don't know who ran that, how long it's been there. I already know I have a short in one, and so we have no power on the starboard side. So yeah, anyways, just cracking through that. But it'll be cleaner and more organized in here, easier to think. I mean, that's more than anything. Half the reason I'm removing all this stuff is so that I can like just look and think and know what I'm dealing with, because right now you sort of get like anxious. You would think that this is operating a spaceship, and then you remember most of this doesn't even go to anything anymore.
I'm about to get started on a project that I've kind of been dreading, but I've cleared off the space, so we're kind of on our way. So I have some momentum. It's definitely not something super imperative. It's more aesthetic than anything else, but I'm going to be replacing this vinyl that a previous owner had installed on this boat. It's just glued down. So the part I'm dreading really is just having to pull this whole thing up. It just is kind of grimy.
Alright, so this is active in theory and goes to the outlets in our bathroom, so don't cut those. But all this shit I still need to get out. And I'm pretty sure all this line is dead, but I'm going to cut it out first, then I'm going to remove that panel. And just remember, if I clip something and the power to the boat goes out, you just got to hit the breaker back on the dock. So I triple check that I'm not dealing with a hot line right now. Although if I were, that probably would have.
Zapped ya?
No, it would have shorted when I was cutting. Yeah, we're good. No juice. Next one. But think about it, when you like look at this, you're like, oh my god, and it's like, oh yeah, that goes to the Electrosand that no longer exists.
So I've brought my project outside to spread out on the dock. It's pretty windy, as you can see. So I'm gonna pattern out of some construction paper, and I'm going to trace it on the new piece of vinyl and cut it out and then glue it back down. Now I'm just going to use contact cement to glue down the new vinyl. It dries fast, it's flexible, it's heat resistant, and it's water resistant, and while it's pretty permanent, it's also easy to pull back up if we have to do that. So I kept getting bubbles in this vinyl, so this turned out to be a pretty indispensable tool. Just this smoother outer thing that came with some removable wallpaper that I bought a while back. I'm hoping that weighing down with the books will help keep some of the bubbles down as the contact cement dries. Keeping my fingers crossed. Also indispensable to any boat work is a cool beverage. I really hope this dries without any bubbles.
Well, let's real talk this for a minute. The truth is, there's trouble in paradise with the Never Monday team right now. And rightfully so. Zoo, who's off doing something fun with her mom, hopefully enjoying the beach, she's in a mood, and that mood is more or less like, I'm fucking tired of doing projects. And at first, my initial response or reaction to that is like, well, like, cool. I literally built 2 vans in 1 year for us to go and live in. I did 97% of the work on that, and everyone has enjoyed those vans, and it's like, well, that's what it takes to have that experience, right? And the reality is, I like these projects. I run a marketing company. I'm on the computer all day. I'm dealing with just like such a different world, and there's a big part of me that just likes working with my hands, building things. And so I take something away from the experience that I think is different than other people might, and possibly Zoo. But I'm also got to come to terms with the reality that, like, this boat's a piece of shit. Like, straight up. If you want to buy a giant blue sea worthy sailboat, and you're only going to spend between $40,000 and $50,000 to buy it, you're basically going to get a piece of shit. The boat's 30 years old. 70% of the systems on this boat have to be replaced. Now, to be fair, this boat, we could have purchased it, spent a couple grand, some elbow grease, cleaned it up, and if all we wanted to do was go sail and enjoy, you know, being out on the water, offshore cruising, and either live or at the very least, you know, spend, you know, weekends or weeks on the boat, it was actually ready to go for that, and it would have just needed, you know, routine maintenance. But we're trying to build a boat that we're proud to film YouTube episodes on, and a boat that we trust to take, you know, across the world ultimately. Like, you know, that's the idea. It's a lot of work, and it's simultaneously, the boat is incredible. I mean, we went sailing yesterday. We took this thing out of the Fort Pierce Inlet with predictably planned a current at our back that was probably pushing like 5 knots into an ocean swell that created 6, 7, 8 foot tidal waves. And this boat was just like But I'm telling you this, the boat, as is, cruised through that effortlessly. We popped up just one sail, the Genoa, and made 5 to 6 knots across bumpy water. But anyways, this is me just admitting that this boat's a pile of shit, and it's a shitload of projects. And I mean, honestly, I did know what I was getting myself into, but sometimes you're elbows deep in it, just like, what the fuck. Now, to that point, I do want to talk about what I've accomplished today. And so here I am in the engine room, and I've talked about how spacious it is. So I am on my little, sitting on my little stoop. And remember, I haven't done much in here other than rip stuff out. So there is a lot in here that is not up to my code. And it'll start with the fact that that's the starting battery, it's so far away. Yes, it is literally hooked up to the starter. There isn't a fuse in sight. That'll have to be rectified. But I've been ripping out unnecessary systems. Like up here was that control box for the Electrosand, the shitter. It's out. A ton of wiring. I've probably pulled out 75 feet of wiring. I've been hacking away with snips at the copper lines that have fed some of the air conditioning systems and been ripping those out. And I am proud to say that I've actually managed to rip out all of the copper from here all the way around through the this stringer here into the main cabin. I've been able to rip out like 30 feet more of that copper, so soon it'll be gone, and that'll be rad. So a lot of 110 and 12 volt wire cable that doesn't go to anything has been pulled out. And now what I'm doing is I'm vacuuming. By the way, this is like my best friend right here, this little mini freaking shop vac. I've cleaned out the bilges. I've cleaned off rust off of engine mounts. Like, it's been incredible. I'm about to wrap up today's work, and I gotta admit, nothing makes me happier than that. Look at my boys teamed up in the smelliest spot in the place, probably the forward head.
So this is the project that kind of set me off a few days ago. I had to pull up the new vinyl that I had glued down with contact cement, because turns out the bubbles that were getting created were basically the contact cement melting the vinyl, and eventually it actually started coming through to the top. The contact cement started kind of seeping through the vinyl and ending up on the surface. So that was kind of the last straw for me that day. I don't have any doubts that the boat was a good idea, and it will lead to, hopefully a lifetime of adventure. But I am missing being able to mountain bike in the mountains several times a week. That has been sort of the most difficult thing to get used to in Florida. Not many mountains here. So I do miss being able to get out on my bike. It's definitely an outlet for me emotionally and physically. So I have been missing that pretty acutely lately, which led to kind of me huffing off and going to the beach after this project failed. Without that mountain biking outlet, I've definitely felt a bit cooped up in this boat and just kind of overwhelmed by the the projects that need to get done. There's quite a few of them before we have this boat in the kind of shape that makes us, proud of it. And I definitely appreciate all the work Dan has been doing on the mechanics to make sure that everything functions the way it's supposed to and it's safe for us to sail this thing. But yeah, sometimes it's just a lot, and that's kind of what happened a few days ago. Since contact cement didn't work out, I am now going to use this 3M high strength spray contact adhesive. I tried it out on a small piece of vinyl and stuck it to this shelf, and it appeared to work. So keep your fingers crossed. That second time is the charm on this project. After weighing it down with some books and giving it a few hours, it looks like we might have some success with this second go around at this project. The vinyl appears to be sticking and it's not melting. So it's a whole lot better than the first time. Happy holidays, you guys. We are doing a 2-part Christmas on the Never Monday. Christmas Eve today, we're doing a Polish version of Christmas. And then tomorrow we're going to do a vegan feast version of Christmas. In Poland, Christmas Eve is generally the main event, and Christmas Day is kind of the after party, a little bit in reverse than how most people celebrate Christmas in the US. So a Polish Christmas Eve dinner isn't complete without pierogis, which are basically dumplings, if you've never heard of one. In Poland, one of the sort of Christmas table staples are pierogis with sauerkraut. So my mom made this filling last night. It's just a bag of sauerkraut, salt and pepper, and some dried mushrooms. In this case, we put some shiitakes in here because that's what we had. Another great thing about pierogies is that they're vegan, or they easily can be. The dough contains only a few ingredients. All of them are vegan, and the filling is vegan. It's pretty hard to do without them because my grandma would make them for every Christmas I've ever been to. And I really only make them once a year because they are pretty time consuming to make. But they are delicious in taste and definitely in nostalgia. So the dough is actually really simple. In this case, I'm going to use 2 cups of flour, 3/4 of a cup of warm water, not hot water, warm water, salt, just a pinch, and about a tablespoon of, in this case, canola oil, but vegetable oil is also fine. here they are, all 60 of them. They get kind of progressively better as I make them. So the marina is kind of a ghost town during Christmas, which is kind of nice actually. So there's a pelican that lands on this dock that has a fish hook stuck to his foot, and then the other side of the fish hook is stuck around his chest, so basically he can't put his foot down. And man, I just hope we can help him, because that must be miserable. I mean, he's able to fly and he can kind of hop around on one foot, but I'm sure it's very uncomfortable and painful to have to deal with that. I hope we can help him somehow. Ugh. It's just real sad, you know? We're obviously vegan, so we don't eat fish to begin with, but we're kind of surrounded by fishing on the boat and at this marina. And it's just, this pelican is a reminder of the other casualties of fishing. So Dan lost his skateboard.
And I'm not going to be able to find it until the sun comes out and I can see the bottom. But I should be able to salvage the trucks and the wheels.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll have to swap out the bearings, and the deck is going to get mangled. It didn't even float for a millisecond. It was just like...
It just exploded off the side of the dock, and...
Yeah, I had a tasty little Manny coming all the way from the corner, and then it slipped, and...
The skateboard kept going.
Those cruiser boards, the tails are so short that when you get the tail down...
What is the skateboard?
Oh, it's in there somewhere. It's underwater, under the boat.
Dalej już nie umiem. Ale pierogi nam się gotują. Widzisz? Pokaż pierogi.
Oh yeah, this is the next step. So you boil them until they float, and then you cover them in greasy oil and onions. All right, so besides the pierogies, we also have borscht, so beet soup, and then beets. During Christmas time, traditionally we drink the beet broth as a drink to sort of accompany all the other foods. Traditionally, in Poland, on Christmas Eve, you don't eat meat. So a lot of dishes get replaced with fish. Obviously, we are vegan, so we are not doing the fish thing or the meat thing ever. So we are having beets and pierogies, baby. I just put sriracha on the pierogies always.
I put sriracha on all Polish food because it doesn't exactly have a Caribbean spice to it like I'm used to.
Dobra.
It allows me to extract more joy from the food.
It's a beautiful, warm Christmas, so we thought that we would motor up the inlet since there's barely any wind and the water is real calm, and we've never actually gone up the inlet in a boat, so it'll be fun to see from the water. And on the way back, there may just be enough wind to try sailing back to our marina.